Morning, Shaun. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Dave. How are you, pal?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Very good, despite the age. Um, First of all, can I get direct to the point? The mid-season match against the Exiles. Where are we at with that at the moment?
Where we're at, Dave, is that it's still on. There's nothing changed. I know there's talk, and there was a fixture meeting yesterday, I think there was, but there's talk about the season being put back. That doesn't alter that weekend. As far as I'm concerned, the Exiles game is still on, and I've not been told any different. I speak to Ralph and Dave Rotherham every day, and so from my point of view, that game is very, very important to me in my preparation for the World Cup.
And is that the only game you're going to get, or is there a possibility, a probability of maybe playing a game a week, a fortnight before the World Cup begins as well?
Yeah. Before when I was in Clubland, I like playing the game about 10 days before the start of Super League, and I'm trying to do the same here. So we're going to get a game 10 days before our first game against Samoa. That's what the plan is.
And have you identified likely opposition or preferred opposition for that game?
No, I've not. There's a chance with Fiji. There's nothing been put in set in stone yet, Dave.
There is talk, as you suggest, of putting the start of the season back, which could mean reducing the number of fixtures. Is that something that you'd welcome? Less wear and tear on the players, perhaps ahead of the World Cup?
Yeah, from a selfish point of view, the less games they play, the better shape they will be. But if I'm honest with you, Ian, whatever happens with the changes to the season and the COVID bubbles and how they train, it's the same for everybody in the world. This is a worldwide thing, and so we've all got our problems and we have to deal with them. But if our Super League players in our comp, if a couple of games get knocked off, it would suit me for the World Cup. But whether that's going to happen, I'm not sure.
Can I just ask you about there's a rules committee meeting next week to discuss various things like scrums coming back this year. What would you like to see come out of that meeting?
I've loved it, this year. I think the speed of the game, having no scrums, has been fantastic. I've really, really enjoyed it. But if the Aussie, if they, I don't get stressed about things like this. If the Aussies play a season where they've got scrums and we don't, if we don't do that in Super League, but they bring it back for the World Cup, it's easily fixed. Our players are the best in our country, best in Super League. They're doing great in the NRL. So if we have a few sessions where you defend and attack in a scrum situation, it doesn't take long. Our players are used to scrum. They've had a season where they've not had any in Super League, but they can soon get that defensive shape, attacking shape in scrums, in the scrum situation anyway.
And the six again, did you like that rule?
Loved it. You look at some of our games last year, the Wigan and Saints game, 25 minutes, no penalties, no errors. And I said it at the time, there's not ice hockey, NFL, there's not a sport in the world where you can have 26 players going at it for 25 minutes the way they did. You look at the GPS on how they ran and retreats and efforts. There's not a sport in the world can do what they did. Ball in play for 63 minutes in that game, I think. And that weekend there was a Rugby Union Internationals and balls in play for 23 minutes. And I'm thinking, oh my God, we need to tell everybody about this. It's just elite athletes going at it. And it's a lot to be proud of. And that six again, got rid of a lot of stoppages, and I think it just shows you how athletic our players are. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Yeah, definitely do. And the NRL are obviously sticking with it as well, so that helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Shaun.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. Gary Carter.
Hi, Shaun. You touched on Super League being strong there, but this year with the likes of John Bateman coming back and Greg English coming in, do you think that'll help you because Super League as a whole will be stronger?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, John Bateman's going to be a great addition, and Greg English is obviously a fantastic player. And he's had a bit of time off, and it won't take him long to get back into shape. But the competition is going to be a lot stronger with John Bateman in it, no question, because he's a great player. But from my point of view, you look at the great games last year, the Wigan Saints, Wigan Warrington, some fantastic games. We just need more of them in that intensity, and I hope we'll see that. I honestly hope we'll see that. I have to say, speaking to club coaches, CEOs, club owners regularly throughout last year and over Christmas, I am absolutely shocked at how much support, genuine help, support, and how much they want, our World Cup campaign to do well. And it's quite touching, really. They've got their own problems with their own clubs, but they're doing everything they can to make sure England succeed. And I think it's quite, I find it quite touching, to be honest.
There's a lot made about the clubs that are just concentrating on their own England almost being an afterthought. But has it opened your eyes to just how central and how key England is to the whole thing?
Yeah, and I'm a bit embarrassed because I've been a club coach, so it has made me a bit embarrassed. So I'm really impressed, with the help, but genuine help. They're not just words. I've asked for things and I've got them, which has been absolutely outstanding, and it just shows you how much they understand how important it is that we have a great World Cup this year.
And just on practicalities, now Lockers has retired, are you anywhere near deciding on your captain?
No, I'm concentrating on trying to get to see me play, especially Gary.
Yeah,
I've not thought about my captain, to be honest, but there's some obvious ones in the squad what we've got, and Lockers is pretty much irreplaceable as a player and a leader, but that's our job to make them next players what's coming through, your Johnny Lomaxes and your John Batemans and people like that, and leaders what we have now to step up and just be better at it.
Just a couple of other sort of player related ones. If say you play the Exiles and the likes of Blake Costin and Jackson Hastings aren't in your squad, would you be happy for them to play for the Exiles?
Absolutely. I want the Exiles team to be as strong as possible, and they're a lot stronger with Blake Austin in it, no question. But so the strongest team, I need that game to be like a test match.
And just lastly, Herbie Farnworth was over in England for seeing his family and things like doing a bit of training. Did you have a chance to catch up with him or anything like that while he was over here?
Yeah, I spoke to him. I didn't think it was appropriate to meet him. So we just kept in touch by phone.
But you'll be keeping an eye on how he goes this year in the NRL.
Yeah. I mean, he was a standout in a poor team last year, and if he kicks on and carries on like he did last year, then he'll be pushing for a spot.
Cheers, Shaun. I'll pass you over to someone else. Thank you.
Cheers, Gary.
Thanks, Gary. Matt Turner.
Hi, Shaun. Matt Turner from the Warrington Guardian here. Nice to speak to you.
Hey, Matt.
I wanted to ask you about one of the players that you called up in your last squad for the first time, which is Toby King from Warrington. What is it you like about him and his game? Because it's really come on over the last couple of years, and he seems to have developed into a really classy centre.
I like him because he's a good athlete. He's got good skills. There's things in his game where he needs to improve on what I'm doing. I feel more like myself. In the last few weeks, I've been having meetings with every individual England player, and I've got 3 tonight. I was speaking to players between Christmas and New Year individually, and Toby was one of them. And it was very straight, showing footage of what they do for the club team and what I like and what I don't like and what's going to get them picked for England and what is going to stop them getting picked for England. So it was a very harsh, honest chat, and I felt great. When the players left the conversation, they have no doubt in their minds what they need to do to play for England this year, how they need to perform for the club like Warrington, like Ben Curry. I had a chat with Ben, Toby King and Ash Hanley, and they were very harsh. The players loved it, and they know what they need to do this year. And then by the time when we get to the end of January, every single England player will be covered. They will understand where they are with me, with England.
I guess from Toby's point of view, he'll have Greg Inglis as a teammate next year, one of the great centres of our time. So I guess you'll want him to just be a bit of a sponge, really, and take up as much as he can from him.
Yeah, and I'd like Toby to be the standout player over Greg. You know, that's his challenge. You know what I mean? I don't want him looking in awe to him. Greg Inglis is a fantastic player, but you know, we've got 1 year now where we need to be the best to make sure I pick him against Samoa at Newcastle. And so it's, you know, I don't want Toby running around patting him on the back. Greg Inglis, I want him to stand out. I want him to be the best in the Warrington team.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Shaun.
Cheers, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. Gareth.
Hiya, Shaun. Hope you're well.
Hi, Gareth. Yeah, thanks, Matt. Good.
Just a couple of quick ones. What's been the reaction like from that group of players that were included in your first squad, and then when they changed, they were left out of the second one? Have you spoke to those guys a lot, and what's their reaction been like to that happening?
Yeah, I spoke to them all back like this, which is not my way. It was I'd rather do it actually face to face. But if I'm honest with you, Gareth, they were fantastic. They were brilliant. They understood. They agreed with what I said, and I was very, very honest. And I have a belief that players want to know. They want to know where they stand, and I have a belief that you tell everybody everything. You know what you honestly feel, and I did that with them players, and you know I expect to put them players back in the squad throughout the year. You know, if Chris Hill or Jack Hughes is outstanding this year for Warrington, then they're back in. So no question, whoever's killing it this year and playing well toward the back end, they will start for me at Newcastle, and I've stressed that to every single player. It doesn't matter to me. 2 tests or 200 tests. If you're killing it, you will play. If I believe you can win me that test match, you will play. And I don't tell lies. The players trust me, and that's what will happen.
And with the season being pushed back this year and potentially a bit again, it's the first time in memory players will have had a proper break and maybe a 10-week pre-season, you know, as a group. What will be the benefits to players of that, and hopefully to you at the end of the year, do you think, from having that proper pre-season?
Yeah, I mean, the benefits for me is the players will be fresh. They'll be enjoying the rugby again. You know, I looked at the stat about Shaun O'Loughlin and Cameron Smith. You know, when they made their debuts in the same year, and where they got to at 2018, and Lockers had played something like 180 more games, something like that, something mad. And you know, so if we can get to the World Cup and the players are still fresh and buzzing and ready to go, then that's going to be a great help for me. You know, but I do understand from a Super League point of view the amount of games we need to play over it. I get that as well. So from a selfish England point of view, less games, the players have still got that hunger when the World Cup starts, which I'm sure they will have anyway.
And last one from me, you've often talked about, you know, personally always trying to learn something every day and better yourself all the time. How are you managing to do that in the current lockdown situation? What are you doing yourself? I'm doing
a CEO course, like a sporting director CEO course. 2 days a month. I'm having loads of Zooms with individual people. You know, like people like, I'm not name dropping, but international football players and.
I'll do some name dropping if you want.
John Terry. I'm having quite a few chats with him. Very knowledgeable. I did a chat for UEFA coaching badge attendees, and he was one of them, and it was good. And I also talked about his standards and things what we did at Wigan, you know, what worked for us, and he loved it, and we stayed on since. We have regular Zooms, and I ask him questions, he asks me questions, I learn from him, he learns from me. So it's people like that, you know, big organisations, owners. You know, I'm having lots of chats with different people. So every day is a full day, and I go to bed and I've learned something, which is good for me. Nice one, Shaun. Thanks, and all the best for this. Gareth. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Gareth. Dave Craven, please.
Now then, Shaun, Dave at Yorkshire Post. Hope you're well.
Hi, Dave. Yeah, good, man. Thank you.
Just a quick one. Obviously, you spoke about Paul McShane when you picked him last year and how much you rate him, and since then he's gone on and won Steve Prescott Man of Steel. What does he have to do to get into that team for that first game against Samoa?
Defend well, show to me that he can handle big bodies. We play Samoa, and they're physically a lot bigger than us. So I rate Paul McShane. He's great. I've always rated him. He's a really, really good player, and he proved that last year. For Darrell at Castleford. So his 1-on-1D needs to be better. But I could say that about every England player. I'm happy with the players, but I'm not satisfied with them. I know every single player can improve. Johnny Lomax is a great player, but things in his game. I'm speaking with him tonight, Johnny Lomax. Speaking with Paul McShane tonight, and we'll be going through the fine detail of their game they need to improve on. But when it comes to October, and I'm picking my team, and Paul McShane's playing the way he is, then he'll get picked.
And just another one from me. Obviously, Andy Lass, one of your assistants, he didn't get the top job at Hull. How important was it for him to be doing regular coaching, and now he's at Wakefield to move there and continue his day-to-day job? Yeah,
very, very important. No question about that. I'm glad he's got a gig with Chris at Wakefield, and he would have been wasted. Andy Lass is a very, very, very smart, hard-working coach. I rate him very highly, and we have meetings every week, me, all the staff, the night staff, Paul Anderson, Paul Sculthorpe, and we get on here and we watch games and we talk about things, and the 3 and 4 hours at a time. And I learn so much, they learn so much, and Andy Lass is a big part of that. So I rate him very, very highly, and now he's grafting every day. It'll just keep him ticking over well.
Cheers, Shaun. Best luck with it all.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Matt, are you around? Could you unmute, please, Matt?
Yeah, sure, no problem. Hi, Shaun. Just a quick one about George Williams. He must have been, extremely proud to see how well he and a lot of his England teammates did in the NRL last year. How good is it for George to be playing under such a sort of distinguished half like Ricky Stewart? As somebody who was a scourge of Great Britain so often is now actually, might be quite useful to you this season.
Ricky Stewart.
Yeah.
George has done okay this year, and but I know George very, very well, and he needs to and can do a lot better. No question about that with me and his involvements. Over the next few days, I'll be talking to all the NRL players individually, just me and them on their own, and it's going to be straight between the eyes, and they're going to find out. And there's no bigger fan of George Williams than me, but I also understand that I always want more. I always want better. I'm never happy with anybody, and he's a typical case. He's doing okay at Canberra, but I watch some games what they rave about, and I'm thinking I must be watching a different game. I see it very, very differently. So I'm not getting overcarried away with what Canberra think of him. He's obviously playing a great team there, but he can do a lot more, George. Is that so negative, that?
No. And just one last one for me. In the absence of obviously getting down with your players and actually working with them on the paddock, I know you've been going through the finer details of things, but what kind of sort of other things have you done to sort of challenge their minds as much as their bodies?
Well, my first question is, if I'm playing Australia this Saturday, should I and would I pick you in the team? So that straight away puts them on the back foot a little bit, and and seeing how they answer to me, whether they feel that they're justified being picked this Saturday, and which I always find it quite interesting, that question. So we've been challenging them about what do you feel you need to improve on, and see if it matches up with what I'm thinking. I show them lots of footage of things which I like and what I don't like, and seeing what their opinion is. So it's a very, very open and honest chat, and and not everybody's agreed with what I've said, which is a good thing. You know what I mean? I need it to be very, very honest.
Peter's just asking how impressed were you with Harry Newman, and maybe the impact of his broken leg, and how do you think things will pan out this year?
Harry Newman, I'm a big fan. Needs to improve in quite a few areas, like everybody else. But a really good player, good athlete. He's having an enforced break now, unfortunately. But he has to, like Luke Gale, exactly the same. I sent Luke a message, and this is the time where you need to get stronger, fitter, better, come back, like a better player, find a way. And it's the same with Harry. I like him a lot, and I can see me starting with him in October. So I'm a big fan of his, and but like every single other player, there'll be things what he needs to get better at.
Thanks, Shaun.
Okay, thank you.
Ross, Heppenstall.
Hi, Shaun, you okay?
Hi, Ross, you'll make good.
Thanks for your time.
No problem.
Just take you back to the captaincy there. I think you spoke well of sort of John Bateman and Johnny Lomax. You know John extremely well. You had him for 4 or 5 years at Wigan and won Super League titles with him. Lomax has been unbelievable for Saints the last couple of years, and then you've got Sam Tompkins. I just wondered if you could talk about the candidates and the timescale for making a decision and some of the people that are in the mix.
You just named them. Yeah, that was a good effort. Yeah, obviously they've all got strong things in about them in the character, what makes them good captains. Them people like Sam Tompkins and like George Williams. He's very, very smart player, but he's very quiet. So we had training sessions at Wigan where with Trent, and only George could speak, and it killed him. It was awkward, it was uncomfortable, and it was out of his comfort zone. But he had to do it. And that's my way of stressing to him how important it is that he speaks more. And if George was a lot more vocal, he'd be one, But he's very, very quiet, George. But Sam Tompkins, John Bateman, people like Paul McShane, you see what Paul McShane does it at Cass. He drives them forward. He's smart when Cass are on. He's the main person. So there's lots. You play for England, you would have leadership qualities in your game anyway.
Yeah. Do you think John's come back to England after two years in the NRL a better player?
I think he would have done. Yeah, I think he would have done. I think he'll be, knowing John the way I know him, he'll be very, very upset he's not won a grand final. We've won things over here together, me and John, and he's not won a grand final. He's been very close, but he's not won one, and that would have really, really upset him. So he'll come back here very, very hungry, and he'll be bang on for Wigan this year, I think.
Yeah, you're obviously frustrated at the minute. You're not able to sort of coach players right now, but doesn't bear thinking about, Shaun, the fact that it could be potentially put back the World Cup till next year, but you've just got to hope that everything gets back to normal as soon as possible. That's your way of thinking, I would imagine.
Yeah. If that gets put back to next year, I need a job coaching, because I can't go any longer. I need to get in the field with players and train and work out ways of winning games, and because I'm missing it so much. Even now, when it starts, it's frustrating is not the word. It's something deeper than that, because I live and breathe coaching rugby league players, and I've not done it for quite a while now. Last game I won was in 2018, and it was an important one. So I need to be on the field and coaching players, and making the best of it is what I do, and that's over Zoom at the minute. But Ross, I can't wait to get in the field and start coaching and training players again.
Yeah. Just a final one from me, please, Shaun.
Yeah.
In terms of this concussion debate that's going on in both codes right now, just wondered if you had any concerns about the safety of rugby league. I know you've been involved in rugby union at Scotland as well, but just wondered your take on it.
Yeah. I started playing rugby league professionally in 1981, and the improvements we've made is unbelievable. And my club doctor at Wigan was Chris Brooks, and he was a major driver behind looking after players with concussion. So I've just seen lots of improvements, and we're still making them improvements. So without a shadow of a doubt, we're going in the right direction. the most important thing for us is the welfare of the players, and that's why, we've just made some changes with the staff and with England, and for the first time ever, we brought a player welfare manager in, and it's Steve McCormick, who I work with at Wigan very, very closely, and Steve just got an award for player welfare. There's only 2 people in the UK who have got this qualification, and Steve's one of them, and we should be very proud of that. And Steve's with us, with England, not only the England men, but the ladies in the wheelchair teams. He's with the England group, and I think it's great that Ralph's allowed us to do that, and that tells you, looking after the players is imperative. That's the most important thing to us.
I just wanted to sort of get your thoughts on potentially leading your country for the first time in maybe a game behind closed doors. Have you given much thought to that? I know it would have been your absolute dream to walk out at a packed St James's Park, but have you allowed yourself to think what it might be like if there's an alternate scenario in place?
No, I am a bit weird. And until it was mentioned then the tournament being changed for next year and having no crowds mentioned by yourself, I don't think about things like that. I just block it in my mind, and I'm just driven for having 50,000 people at Newcastle for England versus Samoa, and having crowds there. So it's not even entered my head, Aaron. I don't dwell on negative things, and the time I will think about that is when Ralph rings me and says that's the way it's going to be, and there's a meeting in March to decide what's going on. Until that day comes, then I'm just thinking that World Cup's on, crowds are here, the government are doing all they can to make sure that it's going to be a success, and that's the way I'm thinking as well.
Just to take you back to what you were saying about John Terry, obviously he's led his country in a World Cup. He's played at the very, very highest level. He knows what pressure's all about. Might you rope him in at some point this year to have a chat with the group now you've got a bit of a relationship with him?
Yeah, definitely. And he's gonna come up to training. Definitely, he's really, really keen, and he's very, very smart. And but he loves our way of thinking in rugby league, how we think, and what we did at Wigan when I was at Wigan, and is a real understanding about rugby league now, and he loves the game. No question about that. He loves the game. So yeah, he'll be getting involved.
How does it benefit you as a coach to have the experience of someone like that, and how might it benefit the group as a whole to hear from someone who's obviously been there, done it at the very highest level?
Yeah, well, he's a very, very proud Englishman, John, and Lee Westwood's another one, big league fan, and he'll be getting involved with us, and it's important for the players to get a perspective from another sport. You look at Lee Westwood; he's very individual, and John Terry's played for England, and there's nobody prouder than him to represent his country. So I love speaking to people like that about how they train, what they do, what the thought process is, and what the standards are, and so I'm assuming that our players have a thirst for that as well, and if they don't, I want them to have an open mind on things like that. So I like getting people in, talking to the players.
Brilliant. Cheers, Shaun.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron. Mark.
Hi, Shaun.
Hi,
just on sort of learning from other sports and that. I know you said a lot about what you've learned from them. What are the biggest things when you speak to the other people in other sports that they want to pick your brains about in terms of what they can learn from rugby league?
Yeah, people. This is done in my view, but people love to complicate simple things. I was watching Huddersfield and Hull, and when I think Huddersfield had a chance to have a drop goal at the end, and the pass was above his head, and he couldn't get the drop goal away. Caesar, and but the skill level in that game I thought was poor. And when everybody's talking about the game afterwards about lack of field position and all that, so it wasn't. The skill level was poor. The simple thing, you catch pass, you tackle, your simple core skill things. Don't feel the need to overcomplicate it and impress everybody about field position, stuff like that. That's the thing at the end of field position, the more technical things. Well, get your catch pass good, get your tackle, your tackle technique good, and fix the simple things. And it's the same in football, it's the same in golf. people feel the need to complicate simple things, and there's nobody worse than rugby league for that. So, and that's what I've been driving. You know, I mentor a few rugby coaches, and that's what I drive home to them. You know, about look at making sure your core skill is the best it can be.
Yeah, and it says a lot about rugby league as well, about how much these people obviously respect the sport and the opinions of people like yourself, that they want to learn from what you and others in rugby league are doing.
Yeah, well, I went into Jacksonville Jaguars watching them train, and they was asking us where we were from and what was rugby league, and we got our laptop out and showed them a few games like proper like at Wigan and Saints where they're smashing each other. And they could not, and they're screaming at the mates to come round to our screen and watch this game. And they're asking us what the players wore, and when we showed them a jersey, and they couldn't believe it, you know. And then was there all day, and the coaching staff and the players couldn't get any more of us. So it was it fascinates me, you know, how much people think of our game, you know.
Yeah, and just one more thing. Are you still doing a lot in terms of working with the women's team and the wheelchair side of things over this time as well?
Yeah, so I do a lot with my individual players. A lot of feedback with the players, and I'm doing lots of Zooms to groups and coaching staff from both the wheelchair and the women's game, doing one-on-ones with them, showing me sessions and just giving them my view. Not saying it's wrong, but just giving them my view of what I think, and you know, so. We've been doing quite a bit together, definitely.
Yeah, great stuff. Thanks, Shaun.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Paul, you're Phil Wilkinson's skiving, isn't he? So you're covering for him.
Very
Over
much.
to you.
Yeah. Hi, Shaun.
Hi, Paul. He's not on holiday, is he, Phil?
He's apparently doing some lifting work in the back garden and stuff, manual labour.
He has never lifted.
I'm told. So feel free to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just a quickie about Wigan. Obviously, we've lost Harry Rushton to the NRL at a very young age. With your England hat on, are you pleased to see players challenging themselves like that, or would you rather see them staying around and, you know, contributing a bit to Super League first?
I like the fact that John Bateman and George Williams went to Canberra when they won something with Wigan, played a few years in Super League, and won something. So I would like to see Harry stay again. Wigan first team, win a few grand finals and World Club challenges, and then go. You know, but he's got the opportunity in his toolkit, and I wish him all the best. But I would like for him to have stayed in Super League for a few years.
Yeah, and is he someone you'll keep an eye on right from the off, or do you wait to hear your scouting reports back?
No, I watch every NRL game, I watch every Super League game, so I'll keep my eye on him, watching everything anyway. So yeah, I'll be seeing how he goes, and he'll be playing for the junior teams there at Canberra, I think. So I'll be watching them games.
Yeah, and in general terms, do you find when these players come back, like John Bateman, they come back more rounded people? You know, they've had that sort of, you know, dual experience of life. Do you feel that can benefit them on the field as well?
Yeah, definitely. They've lived the other side of the world in a different culture, different coach, and they've learned off, you know, from a different organisation. So they come back very, very, I won't say very, very different, but they come back different, and they're a bit more mature, and it does a benefit that way, no question.
And what do you think Harry will learn from Ricky Stewart during his time at Canberra?
Well, Ricky Stewart was a great half. There's no question about that, and you know, so he'll learn the tiny details of what they need from a good half. But if he'd have stayed at Wigan, you know, Matty Pete's a good coach, and he would have taught him the same. So it would have been a win-win for Harry anyway.
What sort of conversations have you had with somebody like Mark Percival, who had a pretty horrendous year last year with injury and had to watch the team win a grand final from the sidelines? What have you said to Mark?
I rate you. You're a very, very good player. You'll be in my starting lineup. Don't be too disappointed. This was probably word for word what I said to him. You'll be in my starting lineup, and you've got this year to make sure I don't change my mind. When you come back from injury, you'll come back stronger than ever, because I know he's a very professional kid, and he'll look after himself. And you know, but before his injury, I'm a big Mark Percival fan, and you know, so he doesn't need to worry about stuff like that.
After you sort of bringing in Morgan Knowles, is that the end of you looking elsewhere for people who've represented Celtic nations for players? Is that the end of? Are you still players like James Bentley? Are they still up for grabs, or would that be disrespectful to sort of tout names like that?
No, it's not disrespectful. I'll look at players who are eligible to play for England and improve us this year. I'm always, my mind will never change. If somebody can make us better, I'll look at them bringing them in. So I don't think there's anything disrespectful of that. Morgan made that choice and decided to come to England, and hopefully get the benefit from that. And
alluding to Andy's question there about your appointments.
Yeah, so I've got Aidy Gardner from Warrington, Chris Barron from Warrington, and also I got Matt Bitcon, who was my director of performance when I was at Wigan. So Aidy's a very, very, very good bloke, very, very smart operator, and he's going to do a great job for us. So I spoke to Carl Fitz at Warrington, the CEO, and I spoke to Steve Price, asked for permission to speak to him. They was all for it. They were very, very forward thinking, and that adds to the relationship between the owners and the CEOs and the coaches with me and with England, and there was never in no doubt about it's the best for the coach to jump in and have another experience with me.
Steve McCormick's on the line. Steve, would you like to join the conversation and just explain what your role is across the England setup?
Yeah, thanks. Morning, everybody. I think it's obviously know the importance Shaun places on being the best on the field, but also being good people off it. That's a big aspect of Shaun and what the England programme's all about, and the players having good careers, alongside playing, and being good people, looking after their families, looking after their partners, etc. So we're quite lucky as a sport that there's some brilliant player welfare managers, at the clubs that do this on a day-to-day basis with all the players, and I speak to most players within the performance team already. So it's a continuation of that really, and any form of well-being support that I can offer or our team can offer. I do believe it can make a massive difference. So really honoured to be on board of it.
Steve, I know you've obviously got a lot of experience from the coaching side of things, but now you've moved into the more sort of player welfare side of things in recent years. What was sort of behind that for you? What took you in that direction?
Hiya, Mark. It's something that I've always been passionate about. I remember my first job at Salford, seems a long time ago, and I was dealing with player welfare and player well-being, and love my time coaching. Really privileged to to be involved in coaching so long, but it was always a passion of mine. And I was fortunate enough to work at Wigan under Shaun for a long time, and just doing this job and seeing the benefits of it, and dealing it from a holistic point of view and just supporting players. We all need support, we all need help at times, and that independence and that confidentiality that this kind of role can bring, I believe can make a massive impact. And like I say, it's something I've always been passionate about, and I love my job, love what I do with Rugby League Curs now, and just delighted to be involved with the England setup.
Yeah, and it's something the sort of sport really, I guess, sort of prides itself on in recent years is the sort of the improvements we've made in player welfare and on and sort of being open with mental health and that side of things. I mean, it must, from that point of view, and for yourself, it must be very pleasing to see how much that's all been embraced.
Yeah, 100%. Really proud of it. But as everything, we need to improve all aspects of it as well. That's the key. There's it's so important, and not only players in crisis and stuff, but just being really proactive. With our current and past players, and players in transition. Players playing for internationals, players playing in the community game. Just that holistic view of making sure that the players get as much support and the staff, and the families, and it's really important that, and really proud of what we've got in place. But as everything, we're just looking to improve every day with everything we put in place for the players.
Yeah, how much does it change at international level? Because obviously with the clubs, you sort of perhaps see the players more on a day-to-day basis. So in the England setup, you perhaps only when things start getting back to normal, especially, you perhaps only see them with training camps and that side of things.
No, it's probably exactly the same. I think, you know, I'm in constant contact with the players anyway. You know, from a lot of the clubs, and you know, certainly speak to the player welfare managers every day. You know, every week. So yeah, there's a lot of confidentiality goes on with it, and you know, it's just there for support if and when they need it, and also putting a lot of proactive things in place. You know, prior to the World Cup, and you know, being there if the players need anything or the staff need anything. And you know, I'm pretty positive, and you know, research suggests that, you know, a player flourishing off the field, you know, performs better on it, and you know, that's a massive. I think it's a massive step, you know, that the England performance programme's done to not only support the men but the wheelchair and the women. I think it's you know, we want to be world leaders in everything we do, and that's a big thing for us.